Hello guys, and welcome to Next Generation Tech. In today's video, we are going to be comparing the i7 fully spec'd out expensive Lenovo T450S against the budget i5 non-spec'd Lenovo T450S. And we're going to compare and show you guys how more expensive laptops outperform the budget ones. So without further ado, let's get on with this video. Alright guys, so here we have the two Lenovo T450Ss. Now on the right side, I have the i7 version, and the left side, I have the i5 version. Now, both computers are exactly the same. They're both a 14-inch computer. Now if we stack them up on top of each other, we know that they're exactly the same. Now looking at the ports, we have the exact same ports on both sides. We have the charging ports here, a USB port, we have a display port and another USB port, and on the other side, if we look, we have a VGA port, we have an Ethernet port, another USB port, we have also an SD card reader plus a SIM card, and we also have a headphone jack. Now, they're exactly the same on both. The only difference about these computers is that one computer, this one on the right, has a touch screen, so it's going to be a little thicker than the one on the left. So let's open these computers up. We could tell that they're identical inside as well. We have the same exact keyboard. The only difference between these keyboards is this, that the i7 version, now the i5 has more feedback on the keys. You get more of a sound, and on the i7 it's more subtle. Now they both have the same exact trackpads. The screens are a little different because the i7 version has a touchscreen display, and that is a very important thing on these PCs due to the fact that you could do a lot more different things than on non-touchscreens. So what we're going to do now is we're going to boot up both of the PCs and see which one boots up faster. Okay, so we have the i7 going, the i5 at the same time. Now I expect the i7 to outperform the i5 in the boot up test, but we'll wait and see. Alright, so wow, the i5 is already booted up, ready to go, and that's a very important key thing when you're on the go and you're late for a class or you just need your computer to start up very quickly. That's what the i5 is good at. Now, this is where the touchscreen display comes in handy, because when you want to sign into your computer, you can't go and just swipe up on the non-touchscreen version. On the i7 touchscreen, all you could do is just swipe up and click on the password and then type in your password on the screen. Or if you want, you could just type it in manually on the keyboard. Now, both computers do have a fingerprint scanner, but I do not have that activated at this point. So let's log into both computers. So now both computers are logged in and they're starting up. Now, one major difference I could tell already is with the screen display. Now, this screen on the i5 looks a lot dimmer than the screen on the i7. The i7 screen is much more crisp, much more better in resolution. Alright, so getting into the specs of these computers. This computer on the right is the Lenovo T450S i7 option with Intel's i7 processor 5600. Now, this one on the left has an i5 processor. Now, you may be wondering, what is the difference between these two processors? Well, Intel i7 processors are generally faster and have faster clock speeds than the i5 models. And also, they beat out the i5 processors any day of the week. Now, another key feature that the i7 has that the i5 doesn't is hyper-threading. Now, hyper-threading is a technology that makes your motherboard, makes your computer feel much faster. So, for example, you have 2 cores or 4 cores on your PC with an i7 processor. The hyper-threading will make it feel like it has more cores and much faster. Now, the i5 model does not have this. There are some i5 and i3 processors that do have hyper-threading, but if they do, they are not as good. Now, another spec on the i7 is it does have SSD. Now, SSD is a solid-state hard drive, and it's much better than the HDD hard disk drive that's on the i5 Lenovo. Now, having SSD is a much better option than a regular hard drive due to the fact that it's smaller, takes up less space, and it's much faster. It also has faster read and write speeds. when you're working. Another key spec on computers is memory. Now, the computer on the right has DDR4 memory, while the one on the left has DDR3. Now, not having enough RAM in your PC may weaken your day and make your computers feel slower. So, having enough of it is just good. Now, when studying RAM and studying the memory, the way they measure it is by million transfers per second. Now, DDR4 memory could do around 2,133 million transfers per second, all the way up to 4,266 million transfers per second, while DDR3 memory could only do 800 million transfers per second, up to 2,133 million transfers per second. Now, DDR4 memory is much faster and has faster clock speeds than DDR3 memory, so having it in your computer is that much better. Now, this computer on the right, the i7, has 8 gigabytes of RAM, while the one on the left only has 4 gigabytes of RAM. Wow, so we got some crazy results. Now, the i7 T450S did have a much more bassy and much more crisp sound, but the i5 had a much more louder speaker. So if you're going and want to have louder speakers, the i5 option is good. Now, let's get into Geekbench performance and see the performance of both CPUs on these computers. Now, I'm going to open Geekbench on both of these computers, and we're gonna see which one does better. So both computers just finished the Geekbench 5 CPU test, and the i7 smoked out the i5. Now, the i7 single core performance, when the i7 is only using one core, is 734. Now, when the i5 is using only one core, it is 476. Now, when both computers are using multiple cores, the i7 score is 1,483, while the i7 is 1,370. So clearly, the CPU on the i7 is better than the i5. So now we are going to test both hard drives on these computers. Now, the one on my right, the i7 version, has an SSD hard drive, and the one on my left has a regular hard drive. Now, the one on the right should have faster read and write speeds than the one on the left. So we're going to test that right now. So let's start this test. So the test has just come to a close, and we reached around 467.29 read speed on the i7 with the SSD, and a write speed of 424.85 on this SSD. Now, the non-SSD version i5 came to at about 92.91 read speed and 92.90 write speed. Now, this is a major leap in performance on the SSD hard drive and makes that much of a difference in your computer. Both of these computers, whether the i7 or the i5, both have HD full LCD HD plus displays, but the i7 could do up to 300 nits of brightness, while the i5 could only do 236 nits of brightness. So there you guys go. That is the end of our test between the Lenovo T450S series PCs. Now we came to a conclusion to find out that more expensive spec'd out i7 PCs beat up the i5 budget non-spec computers. And I want you guys to keep this video in mind when you go make your next computer purchase, because I want you to be able to differentiate which computer is good for you. Now, as I said in the beginning of the video, we consume almost 40 million tons of electronic waste each year. So by you knowing what computer is right for you and which one has the specs, the programs, the essentials that you need, you're able to make your best computer purchase. So thank you guys for watching. Hope you found it interesting, and I'll catch you guys next time.